This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 7th year. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey everybody, this is Alex. This is the Ramble, and we're here till midnight tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, it's I always say the lovely music of Larry Bubbles Brown, his dulcet tones. Hello, Larry.
In his all-girl orchestra, yeah.
And it was Phil Spitalny. Phil Spitalny and his all-girl orchestra.
Which I never saw. I heard my father talk about. It sounded hilarious.
Well, it's hilarious to watch a woman play a trombone, you know. There are certain, I mean, in the group, you ready for this? How do I remember this stuff? Jesus, I can't. Today I couldn't remember YouTube, okay? But
you can pull that out.
I can't, and I'm thinking, what is it called? YouTube. What I don't, and you know, and I can't come up with YouTube, but I can come up with Phil Spitalny and his all-girl orchestra, featuring. You ready?
Yes.
Evelyn and her magic violin.
What was magical about it?
I don't know. They put it in a big box and it disappeared. I have no idea. You know. Yeah. So those are things from the past. I mean, I think Phil Spitalny and his all-girl orchestra probably existed after I was born, but I think was gone by the time I had any sentient knowledge of things. But my father always made me aware of things that went on before I was born or early on in my life, and he always found Phil Spitalny and his all-girl orchestra to be really stupid, you know.
Although I have to admit, I love the big bands were great that era.
Yes, of course. But Phil Spitalny and his all-girl, now that wouldn't fly today either, would it?
Be very sexist.
They wouldn't complain, I think, about an all-woman orchestra, however. But they should, because what we did back then is we made it like, oh, this is really unusual. Nothing but women playing instruments.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and I'm sure if Phil Spitalny had the chance, but the times weren't right, he would have made them topless. You know. So.
Well, that would have made the violin magical.
Can you believe we just got 5 minutes worth of material out of something nobody ever heard of? I'm you know, there's so many things that I reference because I'm older. That nobody else would possibly understand. In fact, my friend Shecky brings it up, and it's a really good point. That there are people out there today in their 20s who don't know about the Beatles. Really, just don't know about them.
I'm sure, yeah.
I certainly couldn't name all 4 of them. And probably couldn't name one of them. Because they don't care. They're 20. They were born in, 2001. So they have no reference to that. That's old stuff. That's like when I was growing up and I used to find out what went on in 1918. You know? So, I mean, we tend to think, when they talk about the Beatles and, hey, what's your favorite Beatles song? Don't ask somebody who's 21 years old, 20 years old. They don't know it. They don't remember it. It's not in their frame of reference. And
they wouldn't know Johnny Carson.
That's correct. Because Johnny Carson stopped, 96 or something like that?
92.
92. Wow, I thought it was later than that, 92. Yeah, so they don't, hey, I think I heard about Johnny Carson. Wasn't he on before I was born?
Yeah, Dana Carvey's kid told me they'd heard of him, but they didn't know what he did.
Exactly. So, I mean, Shecky said, no matter what you think, most people don't reference that. Now, I have a guy on the show, on this channel, who does a show, and he's always talking about stuff that he grew up with, Perry Mason and blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, boy, he's never going to get anybody over the age of 60 listening to this. You know, and I try not to reference that stuff for that very reason. But, you know, I suddenly realize there's no way I'm going to get a young person listening to this show.
No.
You know? I'm like that old fart that's there, you know. In fact, I'm thinking of doing like a show just for old people, you know. Just, you know, why not? I'm old, you know. And the problems that we all face, you know. Like my latest thing is that everybody's trying to get what little money I have left, you know, between lawyers and this thing and that thing. And it just, you know, it gets worse and worse and worse and worse, you know. So I figure, you know, that nobody minds taking the money from me. You know, the lawyer doesn't mind sending me a bill for $500 an hour. All right? 4 hours. That's how long it takes. These days it takes me to take a piss. You know, 4 hours would cost me $2,000.
Jesus.
Right? And no compunction about writing it up and billing the hours and so on. They know how old I am. I've told them we have limited funds. I'm on a fixed income, blah, 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 blah. Here's a bill for $2,000. So everybody's trying to get money out of me. And I have money that's been banked up, not a lot of it, you know, a couple of $100,000, and that's about it. But, man, they'll be able to eat it up in no time flat.
Jeez.
This thing we got going with the house, with the apartment here, I thought it was over and done with in December when we made the deal in court. But no, the landlord is going to court although he agreed to our deal, okay, although there's some problems there, the other thing with the other guy that establishes the price that we're paying for rent on this apartment is going to go into appellate court. And that could cost a lot more money because my lawyer says, well, I have to go there and make sure your best interests are watched out for. Oh, good. Go ahead. How much is that? Well, I'll probably take about 20 hours. Oh, good.
Are you serious?
20 hours, as you know it, it's, you know, I mean, it just goes on and on and on, and everybody's taking money away from me, you know. And I want my wife to stop working. I'd like her to have not have to go to work every day and deal with that, you know. And we probably could do it. But all these people keep taking money from me, the money that I never asked to spend. It's terrible. It's horrible. But anyway, those are the problems of getting older. Is that you're on a fixed income, and now everybody comes after you for money. And nobody thinks twice about, hey, how does this impact that older person?
Human's greatest fear, running out of money.
I wonder what the suicide rate is among old people.
I think it's probably the highest, isn't it?
I don't know, but I think people get to be like 85 and everybody's taking money from them and they're getting low on funds and they just go, hell with it. You know, how many more years am I going to live? And then you just take the pipe, you know. You get in the garage and turn on the car, you know. You
got to do it just right. You got to die and have like $1 in the bank.
Well, here's what I was saying. Who was I saying this to? I think it was Shecky the other day. I was telling him on the phone that I said, in a way, you don't want to know when you're going to die. That's something I think none of us want. You know, like, well, didn't you have a joke about that? You wanted to know?
Wouldn't it be great if you knew what day you were going to die, but not the year?
Yeah, exactly. So it's Monday, and every Monday you're waiting for it, right?
Uh-huh.
But the advantage to knowing what your expiration date is that you then know, hey, here's how much money I can. If I found out I was only going to live till, let's say March, okay,
you can plan it all out. Yeah,
there's no amount of money I have, no amount of hookers I could hire for that money. No, but I would, you could go out and spend it all and leave nothing. I don't have to leave anything. I don't have any kids. I don't have any relatives or anything that want to leave money to. right? Same thing with Marjorie. She's got an apartment. I told her at our age she should sell the goddamn thing because we're not going to live in it, and the money would do better being in the bank, gaining interest or whatever. Right now, it can't gain anything because I'm losing money on the stock market. It's like tanking terribly. But you don't. You pay. Do you have stocks?
Yeah, I do in my retirement account. Yeah, and it's. I've been listening to some guy for months. He's been saying the market's going to go down 50%. It's incredibly overpriced.
Oh boy. So maybe you have
he said when it starts to sell off, he said the indicator will be the tech stocks will go first.
Well, tech stocks are going right now.
Yeah,
they're the ones that are in trouble. I mean, I saw Netflix was down yesterday. We're recording this on a different day than you're hearing it, folks. But yesterday they took over 1,000 drop. Okay. 1,000 point drop to finish off about 50 points up. I mean, what a swinging thing that is, you know?
Yeah.
That's the Dow. I mean, amazing. Just amazing.
Well, to show you, when I started comedy, the Dow was under 700 points. That was the market then.
Yeah. The fact that it's higher than it's ever been doesn't mean that's good.
No.
You know.
So it lost more points yesterday than it was than it existed in 1982.
Ever existed? Yeah, in 1982. I remember when I was. I don't know what it was when I was growing up, but I know it was very low. You know. It wasn't high at all. So, everybody's trying to like drive me into the poorhouse, you know, and I don't want to go there. I'm sorry, you know. And the other thing that bothers me is this goddamn COVID, and it bothers me for an entirely different reason than it probably would bother other people. It bothers me because we can't go anywhere. I mean, like Marjorie and I would love to go to Europe or do something like that. You know, just spend a little bit of money and go spend some time in Europe. We can't. You can't go over there. You know, and even if you could get into one country, you couldn't drive to another country. I mean, it's just terrible. Just terrible. So, how's COVID doing for you out there? It
seems like everyone's getting the last version, but it doesn't seem to be very strong. So
you mean the Omicron?
Or the moronic is the
what?
You can spell moronic out of Omicron.
Oh, moronic.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody says we don't hear about another one coming along.
Oh, I'm sure it'll be there.
I don't think so. I think maybe if we have variations, there'll be very light variations. Because Omicron is much lighter than Delta was.
Yeah, this is supposed to supposedly end COVID.
Well, I pronounced it the COVID killer. That this is the one that everybody's going to get. They get a bad cold, and then they're back to work. Okay? And now they have the antibodies in them. And, I was telling somebody, for all these people that have been refusing to get the vaccination, this is God's vaccination. Omicron.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
You're getting vaccinated whether you like it or not. But I don't think we recognize that, though. If somebody's had Omicron, we don't go, oh, well, you're suddenly, you don't have to go without a mask, or you can come into the restaurant and eat, But yet, they do have the antibodies, and they probably are safe. Now, that doesn't mean they can't spread it to somebody else, In fact, you and I, since we've had our vaccination, if let's say we get a small case of it, and we don't know it and we're walking around with it, we can spread it, even if we've had the vaccination. So. Yeah. So it's that's a lot of. Boy, our world sucks, doesn't it?
It really does. This has been the last 2 years have been no fun.
Yeah. I mean, and then you got all the political people and all these Proud Boys and all this crap. I mean, geez almighty, what kind of time are we living in? I mean, you grew up about, 15 years earlier than I did.
Yeah, so it was, I think, probably in the 50s and early 60s, maybe American life peaked. And it's kind of been, well, my father said it went downhill after Kennedy got shot. But
that could be a defining point, but I'll tell you, people say that the politics are terrible in this country, but I lived through the McCarthy era, and that was pretty terrible. I mean,
that was horrible, yeah.
Those were witch hunts. They were terrible, horrible witch hunts which ruined people's lives because of just mere accusations. And so when you say it's terrible now, with the Me Too stuff and the what do they call it? The whole thing where they're
cancel culture.
Cancel culture. That's not as bad as what went on in the McCarthy era. It's close. I'll tell you, when they take a guy and they say, "Oh, he did this and he said this about a woman. Oh, he can't ever work again." That's almost as terrible as McCarthyism.
Yeah, or he said this, and he said this 30 years ago.
He did a tweet.
Can't let him work.
Did a tweet 10 years ago. Well, 10 years have passed, and he's changed as a human being. And back then, he didn't think that was going to be anything anybody would complain about. I mean, you probably had jokes in your act which today you would not tell, right?
Oh, yeah, exactly. And the things we said on your show in the 80s would be... we'd be done for that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But
even though it was fine at the time.
Well, the reason we told those jokes is because they were acceptable.
Yeah.
Okay. And because, oddly enough, they were funny. I mean, I the most sexist joke I ever knew about women today would get me thrown off the air. And that joke is, I'll tell it. I'm selling all my old jokes, okay?
Going out of business.
Why do women have periods?
Why?
Because they deserve them. Now, is that sexist?
I never heard.
Is that sexist?
What was the one I heard? Why is your job different from your wife? After 30 years, your job still sucks.
Very good.
Which is sadly true in most cases.
What kind of stuff did we do back then that would have gotten us in trouble? In other words, what could they go back and say, Alex, remember when you did blah, 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 cancel culture, what would they be able to go back and get us on?
We probably, if anything that would be considered sexist would be any jokes about women, so we had a lot of those. And
how about your park it whore?
Park it whore, even though that was meant for men as well.
Yeah, but it was he did our traffic on the show. We should tell people who are not knowledgeable of that.
So anytime someone was blocking traffic, I'd say, "Park it, whore."
Yeah.
And I called them a whore because they were going to work, which is if you're
but
going to a job you wouldn't go to if you weren't getting paid. You're a whore.
But to the cancel culture, you'd have to explain that one, right?
Yeah.
And you shouldn't have to explain comedy.
No, when you have to explain it, it's over. Yeah.
Yeah. I once said, if you have to explain it, it's not funny. But I mean, it's just. I just think you're right. I mean, I don't know what, but just the very nature. Like my character on the air was kind of sexist. I kind of played it that way, but.
But you had very feminist leanings. So.
I have very feminist leanings.
Yeah. I don't think we did anything racist, as I recall.
I mean, my attitude is, I mean, I love women. Who else would I?
Yeah.
Who else would I fuck? You see, there's the kind of joke we would have pulled without the word "fuck," of course.
Yes, but we didn't do any racist jokes, right?
I would never allow it.
No.
And I wouldn't allow. There was a time when we had AIDS was a big thing in San Francisco. I mean, it was people you knew were dropping like flies.
It was pretty incredible.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. And
talk about COVID. That was.
I had comedians come in and make jokes about AIDS and so on. And finally, one night I'm at home and I'm watching television, and they showed some guy with AIDS, and he had all these, Kaposi syndrome marks on his body, the big spots, and he looked terrible, and it was horrible, and it was just agonizing. You knew this guy they were showing on TV was eventually going to die, but he was dying by 1,000 different cuts, And I said, this is not funny. I said, and I went in the next day, and I told every comic who came in for the next couple of months, no AIDS jokes. The reason I came to that decision was because they were making AIDS jokes not because AIDS was funny, but because gay people were funny. In other words, most of the jokes had something to do with the fact that the person was gay. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
I didn't think it was fun. You couldn't make fun of that disease. There was just no way that disease could be portrayed as funny. And I don't think you remember when I said it, and I don't think anybody minded having to follow the rule.
No.
And I said, the only reason you're telling these AIDS jokes is because it's about gay people, not because it's about AIDS, because if it was about AIDS, you wouldn't be telling the joke.
People were telling cancer jokes.
Exactly. It's like the funny thing about cancer. But the only AIDS joke I ever heard that was funny and that I in fact permitted for me was, what's the worst thing about getting AIDS?
What?
Having to tell your parents you're Haitian. That I thought was funny. It had nothing to do with gays. It had,
Right.
If anything, it was a slight against Haitians, and I didn't think that I had very many Haitians out there in the audience. So, but that was the only funny AIDS joke I ever heard that I would say was permissible.
That was a good one. Yeah.
Everything else was, ended up being a gay thing. So, But today your act would change. What's a joke you used to use in your act you don't tell anymore? Come on, as long as this is a closeout sale, folks, for Larry's jokes.
I'll have to think about that. There's just I pretty much don't. I had so many hooker jokes, and those are almost gone. So
yeah. So that you have no act left, is what you're saying.
I have no act left. I'm like Michael Richards now.
Yeah, right.
Which was was that the first big cancel culture guy?
I'd say that was the first big cancel culture.
That was caught on a cell phone camera.
Yeah. Weinstein was the first real warning sign across the bow, because then you had Spacey, and you had Louis C.K. was like about the third, something like that, and Louis C.K. was nothing, Louis C.K. pulled his penis out in front of a bunch of women, but asked them beforehand if he could. Which I think is the sign of a consummate gentleman. Yes, exactly. So I mean, I just the whole cancel thing is it's so terrible that I think we'll look back on this as a horrible time. But the next time there'll be something else coming up. It's only going to get worse and worse. There was an old joke that I can't remember who it was, but it was on the Jack Parr show. And he said that show business is getting so bad lately that I think eventually the ultimate act will be Carnegie Hall, a guy comes out on stage with a lawnmower and starts it up. And that's probably what we'll be down to. That'd be the only thing permissible is coming on stage with a lawnmower and starting it up.
Yeah. Very sad.
Well, listen, Larry, Gee, I love talking with you. You're the best.
Okay. Let's hope we don't get canceled.
We hope we don't get canceled or cancer, one or the other. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next week, Larry.
We'll talk soon, yes.
Bye-bye.
This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 7th year. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Okay, there he was, Larry Brown, ladies and gentlemen. We love talking to Larry because Larry gets me talking, and then I talk about all kinds of stuff. Yeah, show business. So, show business. Okay, so anyway, hey, listen, I got to tell you a story. I've been having a mysterious thing happening in this apartment. Every night at 10 o'clock, the lights start fluttering. The lights start fluttering. They were like this. Oops, wait a minute, let me turn on my lights. Oh, there we go. And my light, they say now they're not fluttering. No, my lights started fluttering. And the ones on the walls back here, like the candles and the sconces and so on, in the whole apartment at 10 o'clock every night. And I couldn't figure out what it was. And I told my super, I said, there's something wrong with the electricity in this apartment. The electricity is making the lights flutter, but at 10 o'clock every night. And then it lasts for about 3-4 minutes, and then it stops. And for months, I've been trying to figure out what this is. Been trying to figure out what the problem was with my lights. Tonight, I finally figured it out. I go in at 10 o'clock every night before I do this show to make myself a cup of coffee. Okay? And I use a Keurig, what do you call it? Keurig coffee maker. And I put my stuff in there and I start it up. I went out and I looked tonight and the lights were fluttering. And I went, nah, couldn't be that because it didn't draw that much power. And sure enough, when my coffee was through being brewed, the flickering stopped. So I decided to make some more water, just hot water in there. And sure enough, it started. I finally figured out what caused the flickering. It's my Keurig. It's been driving me insane. Just absolutely crazy. So anyway, that's how exciting my life gets, okay? The other exciting thing is we're supposed to have a snowstorm tonight. They always say there's going to be a snowstorm, and then there's never a snowstorm. Anyway, let me admit, there are a lot of people waiting to come on tonight. Oh, yeah, now you'll love me. Let me see here. Here they come, ladies and gentlemen. There they go. You see, they're all popping up. Oh, and hey, Brian, you got your problem again with your camera. It looks
Brian
like
with his colonoscopy.
It looks like screen. No, it looks like a bad Looney Tunes opening. You know the thing. Anyway, what is that happens with you, Brian? It happened last night to you too.
I don't know. My Keurig. I think I'm brewing coffee right now.
So coffee makers have a heater in them.
Well, you can either blame it on the Keurig or Jeff. You know.
And coffee makers typically do draw a lot of amperage. A lot of people run their toaster and their coffee maker on the circuit, and it blows the breaker, and they wonder why.
Well, no, I know that. But I can operate my microwave and my coffee maker at the same time, and I don't have a problem.
Microwave doesn't draw a lot of power.
Huh? Oh, it does. Absolutely does. Are you out of your mind? Every time I ever had any kind of circuit breaker blow, it was because of microwaves.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. If I turn on my microwave and I turn on the and Marjorie would make it some toast, forget it. We had to go down and reset the circuit breaker in the basement. In San Francisco at my apartment house, if I turned on the coffee maker and something else, I had to go downstairs and replace the fuse. And in those days, you had those screw-in fuses, you know. So, no, you're wrong about that. What was it, Brian? What caused that problem?
Bad toast.
No.
Last night it was a technical issue. Tonight I forgot to plug it in my laptop. the camera.
I see. Now, also, I noticed you have a door again.
Yes, with a hole in it. So I still have to, this, and then I look over there, and then I look over. No, remember you said I couldn't jerk off, so that's. Now I have a door, but I just got to keep looking at the hole.
Yeah, and also you had that sexy little dancing girl that came in.
Oh, yeah, she's playing games with Stephanie. So
yeah, Adrian last night was all she didn't have was a pole. Okay,
yeah.
She's just a real ham, isn't she?
Yes.
She's going to be a performer.
Hams and a handful.
I think she's gonna grow up and do something in show business. I just believe that.
Yeah, she's been on stage a couple times now. She had a competition thing last weekend, and she just loves it. And then, we met this really, really old, my friend's father, and he's very old and Asian. He looks like the Ho Chi Minh look, and he's, he looks mythical, and he talked to him, and he met Adrian, and he's staring at her, and he said, she's going to be big one day. Yeah. So it was really bizarre, like sent shivers up and down my spine. There's a group of us there, so it wasn't just like, she just, he said that, it was just bizarre. So, yeah.
Well, she has a certain something now.
Yeah.
But I think that when she learns how to be a performer, which apparently she is aiming towards being, please, encourage her and do all the stuff she wants. If she wants dance lessons, give her dance lessons. If she wants singing lessons, give her singing lessons.
Uncle Alex is paying for it, is what he's saying.
Yeah, right.
And it's and the studio that we go to is really good, and they used to be down the street.
Yeah.
And now they moved to Campbell, so it's like 20 minutes away. And some classes I'm on meetings while I'm dropping her off, and then I'll go in the parking lot and go on a meeting and then pick her up and stuff like that. So it's not big sacrifices. But you hear, a lot of parents.
Good, but just encourage her in that. If she really wants to, don't force her to do it. But if she wants to do it, then do everything you can to encourage it.
Yeah, I told her you used to be a big shot.
Now, I never asked you this, Tony. How many kids do you have?
Who?
How many kids do you have?
I got 2 dogs. That's about it. Coco and Pebbles.
Coco and Pebbles?
Yeah,
don't ask. Because one's probably and the next one's going to be Scooby Doo. Okay.
Actually, no. If I told Checky, if I adopt another one, I'm going to name it Patches. I think.
Patches.
Yeah.
Why Patches?
True story. When my mother was alive, she kept having dreams of my grandmother with a dog. So I asked her, what was the dog's name? She says, Patches. So I always told my brother, if I adopt another one, I'm going to name it for her. Because she wanted me to name a dog Patches. So I figured I would do it for her. I just have to adopt a dog.
Well, I don't know if you've gotten the memo, but she's dead now. And
I know, but that might keep on. I remember her telling me that story. So what was the dog's name? Patches. She said it so clearly. She used to call me. She used to have the dreams in.
Who's
like, I dreamed it now. Do you want to hear this? But you're going to tell me anyway.
Hold on a second, Tony. Who sent him coffee?
I did. He sent me comics.
That's a good book. You got to read that.
Well, I will. I got to learn how to read first, Tony.
There's enough pictures there.
Give me the cliff notes on Avengers 4.
Look at the pictures.
Yeah.
I'm still in the Maxwell house, Alex, from Costco. $9.
Okay, let me say hello to these other people, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, shut the fuck up.
Charlie, what's the shirt say?
It's Kevin. We got Kevin. He's let's see here. He's there. That's Kevin.
Hi, Alex.
And then there's Jeff. He's there. And then over down there, that's Alan. And this down here is Charlie. Hi, Charlie. Why don't you reach up and we'll shake hands? Just reach up out of your camera range. There we go. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. There we go. Okay. And then over here, that's Brian down. Wait a minute. Down there. Wait a minute. I gotta do. This is very difficult to do. Down there.
Oh, you do the fingers.
Wait a minute. Oh, I see. If I go this way and then I go down there, it's very difficult to do this.
Who's Alice tonight? That's just what I want.
And then down there, all the way down at the bottom, that's Josh, and then there's There's John Larkin, and of course the wonderful and attractive. What's your name again? Oh, Tony Magno.
Who's Alice?
Huh?
Just forget it.
What?
Who's Alice?
Alice?
On the Brady Bunch, you know, Alice was on.
I see. Oh,
He never gave her a day off on the show.
Called in.
well, either that or this is the Hollywood Squares.
Yeah.
Could be that.
Called in. And Wally Cox.
You know, we should start a game show soon and just call it the Bennett Squares, and then all you guys can call in, and then people can call in and play the game. You know. How you doing tonight, Kevin?
Okay, how about yourself?
Good. And you, Josh?
Doing good.
Mm-hmm. And let's see here. I think it was very funny. Our president today went down to do a infrastructure talk. Where was he going? Huh? Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And
With
he
the
went
bridge
down for thanks for ruining the story.
What happened? He said it already? Oh, I was just getting ready to listen to it.
Joe Biden went down to Pittsburgh to do an infrastructure speech, and the bridge collapsed.
It did?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you serious? I
Absolutely.
was watching Netflix.
I can't believe he
Been all
didn't.
over the news today.
I can't believe that he didn't send somebody down there to make it collapse. You know, because he was going down there to do
That's
it.
a Donald Trump trick.
Yeah, that's a Donald Trump trick. Anyway,
Which bridge was it?
I need money bad.
what?
I was buried in paperwork all day today. What bridge was it?
Well, if you were there, you would have been buried in bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what.
Nobody died though, right?
No, nobody died. Some people got injured, but not badly. I don't know what the name of the bridge was.
One newscast said the river swallowed a school bus.
Yeah, there was a school bus going across it, but there was nobody in it except for the driver, I think.
Okay, he didn't count.
Well, you know, that's something I've been bitching about for years, and look, here we are.
Yep.
Roads and bridges.
I'm fed up with everything. Okay? Just fed up. I don't know why. Just fed up. All right? I'm sick and tired of everything. I'm sick.
I mean, I see roads out here in California now. They're working on these two bridges.
Yeah.
That's between Gilroy and San Juan Bautista out here on 101.
Mm-hmm.
These two bridges, I can remember, and I go over them all the time. And they're just bridges over the river. And I remember during the 89 earthquake, the day after the earthquake, I was driving truck going south, and I went over both of these bridges, and they're the old bridges, the old stone ones, with the arches on them and stuff.
Yeah.
You know they're the old ones. And I went across both of those, and there was nobody on the freeway. And I had to take the South Run, and the South Run was out of San Jose, down through Gilroy, Hollister, Monterey, Salinas, and back up. And it was usually, a 3 or 4 hour run, but that day it was probably about an 8 or 9 hour run because they were running everybody out into the fields in Watsonville and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But I approached these two bridges, and I had hit 2 buckles in the road already. And I came upon those bridges, and there was Caltrans surveyors all over them. And they're just looking at the bridge, and they got, the triangles up, and they got the surveying equipment out and their clipboards, and they're looking at them. And I'm about ready to drive over it with my 40-ton truck and going, okay, are these things good or what?
Don't you get bonus points for running over the Caltrans people?
They weren't in the street; they were under the bridge and on the side of it, looking at it. So it's you have to go off the road.
Well, supposedly this
extra points, but you don't want to do that.
Supposedly this
not after an earthquake.
This bridge.
Anyway,
yeah.
This was 1989, no less.
Yeah.
Those bridges are now being worked on. What year is it
now?
Well, this bridge that collapsed has been slated to be fixed for 10 years. And in the last 2 years...
This is 1989, and now we're in 2022, and they're starting to work on it.
Yeah, well, in the last 2 years...
such
the
horseshit.
bolts in it have rusted off, and the bridge. They knew the bridge was ready to collapse.
This thing had a buckle in it just before I went onto it that shook the whole frickin' truck like no tomorrow. It was like this, a buckle in the road, and I went over it like a speed bump at 50 miles an hour, and it was probably this tall. You can't tell in here, but it was this tall. But it was a good sight, and I bam, bam, bam. Of course, they just ground it down and put some tar over it, and
Right.
and every time I go over that bridge, I think about that day.
Yeah.
And I go, when are they going to fix it? When are they going to fix it? When are they going to fix it? And I just went over it night before last, and they had all kinds of equipment on it, and they were tearing it apart, and both of those bridges are now being worked on.
Really?
Yeah. And of course, because of the infrastructure bill and the SB1 stuff, but, it just blows me away that it took that long
Yeah.
for something like that to get fixed. And here you talking about president standing behind a bridge and it collapses. I mean, we're in the United States and we got the roads that are crushing, the bridges that are falling through. It's ridiculous.
Right.
Even worse, Highway 87 goes right downtown San Jose.
It's like a roller coaster.
When they finished that, it was like a roller coaster. 85 goes along this way, and there must have been some kind of thing before because it's so smooth. But this one was like a roller coaster. And you talk about all the money in the U.S. What about all the money in Silicon Valley? And the roads are terrible.
Ridiculous.
They need to tax the people that are making a lot of money, more money,
to
fix the roads.
Yeah, 87 was a compact problem. They weren't compact.
Let me bring up something to you that's an interesting proposition that some people are saying, and I know if Phil were here, he would have a cardiac if I brought this up. All right. On CBS Sunday Morning, they did a thing. I think it was last week they actually did it, in which there are people around who are now proposing that no one be allowed to have more, no individuals be allowed to have more than $1 billion. That what do you need more than $1 billion for? And that above that, it should just be taken away and used somewhere.
Yeah, that's horseshit.
Well, why do you feel that's horseshit? I mean, do you really think that, for instance, what's Elon Musk worth now? About $220 billion?
Yeah, but
But you're going to stifle those kind of people like Elon Musk. But just tax them properly.
I don't think you're going to. I don't think you're going to, because what you're saying here is no. You're not stopping corporations from amassing that kind of money and doing their work. You're just saying that no individual can amass more than $1 billion. And I don't know why anybody needs more than $1 billion. Can you tell me? Give me a good reason. Josh?
Well, I don't know if anyone needs it, but if you're going to allow a government to make decisions like that, what's to stop the government from the next day saying there's no one who needs 5 televisions in their house?
Yes.
It's just my wife and I live here. There's no way we could ever watch 5 televisions at the same time.
We do.
You can only have one.
That's where it starts, though. That's where it starts.
Well, but you say that's where it starts. I mean, so you have these people amassing enormous amounts of wealth, and among the billionaires, they probably have 95% of all the wealth in the country. Is that right? Does that make for a vibrant economy?
I don't see it's wrong.
I don't see a problem with it either.
They're doing the work to do it. They're doing the right stuff to do it. I don't hold it against them. I don't go out and do that. I'd like to, but
okay. Let me give you an example. What's his name? The guy who was the head of Facebook. He's got many billions of dollars, and is he doing good works?
Well, it would be nice to see them do better things with it.
You know, the Koch brothers had billions.
Nice them be properly taxed on it. Yeah, that's fine.
What they say is the people with that kind of money start dictating the policies of whole countries.
Like Trump.
Huh? No, Trump Trump was not a billionaire, okay? In fact, the latest they have on him is that maybe he's got $700 million if he's lucky.
Well, the guy with Facebook, San Francisco General Hospital was in disrepair major. They couldn't come up with the tax money.
Who came up with the money?
He did.
Or did Facebook come up with it?
He came up with it personally.
Yeah.
His wife is a pediatrician there, which of course she's probably very popular.
And
but yeah, it's called the Zuckerberg San Francisco General Hospital. He put in 250 million or 7 billion or I don't know what to upgrade it to earthquake standards. They got a new hospital, a new ER, new surgery centers.
Oh, that's very nice. How come he had to name it after himself?
That's what people do when they donate that type of money. They get their name on the building.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't. You know,
nobody knows who Alex Bennett is.
If I had billions of dollars and I had to give $7 billion to keep a hospital afloat, all right, I would give them the money because I want to do so out of the goodness of my heart, and I would want nothing back, including putting my name on it.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I've never had the opportunity to put my name on a building other than a doghouse.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know what I would do. I mean, I never really thought about it.
Well, I mean, it's just an interesting question of how much money do people have to have?
I'm looking it up now. 755 million is what he gave.
755. That's all. He didn't even give $1 billion.
He was short that month. I don't know.
No, but I mean, 755 million it's a tax deduction for him.
And then the guy from Salesforce gave a bunch of money to the Children's Hospital,
Absolutely.
UCSF, and they
Absolutely.
named
more than $1 billion.
They named the hospital after him.
Yep.
I forgot the guy's name.
Benioff.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's a pretty nice guy, actually. I mean, he's, you know, I mean, for a billionaire, he's a pretty liberal guy. You know, he talks about, you know, getting homeless, you know, finding a solution to the homeless problem, and you know, and he's pretty constructive. But he hasn't solved it.
In some ways, though, are these 15 or 20 or 30 people that, you know, we might talk about here, are they the real problem, or is it more all of us? I mean, if you have that much of a problem with Mark Zuckerberg and what he does with his money and what he has or has not done for society or whatever, then why don't we as people stop using his products? But I dare say there's no one here that's going to uninstall Facebook and Messenger and
I don't use it.
Anything else that he owns and say, I don't like that guy. I'm done with him. Because they want those.
I never open that thing. I'm on it, but I never even look at it. It freaks me out.
Well, I'm not blaming anyone. It's an individual choice. I'm just saying, but no individuals are making that choice. They hate these guys, but they continue.
I can't figure out
using their services.
I thought of all the billionaires, the poorest of them was Elon Musk, and all of a sudden he's the richest one of them. Yeah. Where did it come? Yeah. Where did it come from?
Well, his stock is.
It couldn't be from that you know, Tin Lizzy he's got out there. What?
The biggest dick is Bezos. That guy's an asshole.
Oh, he's terrible. He's a horrible person.
He's an idiot. Bezos.
Oh, Jeff Bezos of Amazon. Yeah.
Yeah, that guy's a fucking idiot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that dude.
At least he hates Trump, so he's got one good thing going for him.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Trump hates him because he owns the
Washington.
Washington.
Hate the guy's laugh.
Well, he hates
that guy's laugh.
He hates him because he owns the Washington Post.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they write about Trump.
Yeah.
Poor Trump.
Yeah. So he doesn't like Bezos. But I mean, I don't know. I just think that hearing that a guy's got $220 billion, I mean, I just don't know what you do with it. Charlie, get in here and defend me.
No, I mean, I don't know what you can need over $1 billion for either. I mean, like you said, there's no way you could spend it.
Mm-hmm.
You could have your own baseball team and hire Charlie as a umpire.
I think it's not the amount of money that you're making; it's the fact that the government will regulate that amount, and someone is telling you can't make that amount. So you make $2 billion, the government's going to come take that $1 billion and do something with it. That's the problem I have with what you're saying.
Well, I don't think that was the suggestion. I think what they think is that if people are limited to making $1 billion, then when they make over that, they have to somehow siphon their funds elsewhere, like back into the company.
Well, then you're going to have all kinds of shifty stuff going on there. You're going to have stuff going on.
But you're talking about America. You're talking about the way Americans do business when you say shifty stuff.
It's totally shifty to start with.
Yeah, they're going to roll it out onto a boat in the middle of the ocean and let it float around and go into a Swiss bank account, all that bullshit.
There was a movie.
Rather have accounting for it.
There was a movie years ago called.
Even these guys with 24 billion. They're still doing that.
There was a movie that came out in the 40s. It was called Brewster's Millions, which I think they remade as a film with Richard Pryor.
Yeah,
and
John Candy.
And what the premise of it was is that this guy was given $1 million, which in those days was like $1 billion today. Was given $1 million, and he could keep the million if he could spend it in a week. Or a month or something, but he couldn't spend it on himself. So he had to find ways of giving up money, I wonder if these guys were told, hey, you got $1 billion. Now find places to put $1 billion, where your money isn't going to do you any good.
I'd put it locally in the school districts that are poor. I could spend $1 billion in a week and not on myself.
Well, I would.
But again, it's almost some personal choice, because I'm just saying that. Okay, Microsoft and Bill Gates gives his money away almost as fast as someone can print it, and people don't seem to care, but everybody just loves fucking Apple. Apple's just great. You guys all love it. Oh, they will control your whole.
And they're the most of all the companies.
You will let them and love them, and they do nothing with their
of all the companies.
They're not giving any of it away.
They're the most selfish. Apple.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you keep using them.
Yeah.
But I mean, Bill Gates, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation gives more money away than he can. I mean, he literally can't find people fast enough to give it away to.
Yeah.
I mean, he's very open about how much money.
I wouldn't be caught dead with anything that was made by Apple.
Well, I'm just happy that
none of us would.
Well, I'm just happy that I got my 5G shot. Now I have my 5G. So.
I was going to tell you, Alex, when I was reading on Apple, the one who was very generous was Wozniak. He was giving away his shares. I mean, he seemed very generous.
Well, Woz was a pretty nice guy.
Yeah, compared. He was generous before. He was like he was giving stock away to the secretaries because he felt they should have got in on it. Yeah. I think Jobs was more cutthroat as a businessman.
Well, you got to remember the Wozniak probably made the least money of anybody. Because he was there.
A lot of stock.
He was a lot of stock, but he was there at the beginning. And there was.
They were friends. They started Apple together.
Yep.
Him and Jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I agree with Josh. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, when we were young, they gave us a lot of money for research for the TB, tuberculosis for Africa. So we gave it to them dirt cheap, and then we could still use that assay for regular sales.
They also fund a huge program for people who want to start teaching as a career change. So they have a program that I believe a lot in that says maybe the best teachers in the world are not 23-year-olds who just went to college for 4 years so they could be a teacher. Maybe some of the best people that could teach are people that maybe went to college and then went out in the world and worked or whatever, in the corporate world or whatever, and then said, man, I'm a little tired of this, but I'm 37 or 38 years old, But in order to go get my teaching licensure, I got to do 6 weeks of an internship, and I got to do this and that. None of that shit pays anything. And how am I going to change careers when I basically would have to go 6 months without income?
Mm-hmm.
And they've made it, they believe in making that possible. And they will pay those people to do all that. And then to get them to go into the inner cities of Memphis or St. Louis or whatever, where these school districts can only pay $35,000, $40,000 a year, instead of asking these people to take a huge pay cut, they will also then supplement their income from that. And in some cases, double it or whatever, if these people have master's degrees and things like that, to get people that have life experience and a lot more education into areas to teach kids where people with those skills would otherwise never show up. And, you know, they fund that program a lot. I mean, that's just one of the many that, you know, that Microsoft gives away. Not Microsoft, but, you know, Bill Gates gives away.
Well, I think
Bill Gates has got his faults as a human being. I mean, you know, I think 60 Minutes did a deal on that. You know, I don't know.
Buffett does the same thing.
So what?
Warren Buffett's not saving his savings up for his kids. He's a philanthropist.
He gives a lot of his money away too.
Yep.
Yeah, but he didn't give much money to his kids.
No, he's not going to give it to his kids. They can work for it, is what he says.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think that has to do with a work ethic on his part. He just, I think, feels that giving all that money to his kids probably will make them emotional cripples. I mean, you know,
him and Bill Gates do a lot of philanthropy together. They formed a company, and they do philanthropy. I forget. They bought in a couple towns that couldn't afford restaurants. They brought in Dairy Bell or one of the ice cream and hamburger places, and they give away the burgers and stuff to all the people for free.
Warren Buffett owns Dairy Queen.
Oh, well, maybe that's why. But yeah, they opened up a couple of them in real poor neighborhoods.
He owns See's Candy too.
Does he own See's Candy?
Yeah.
Wow. By the way, mentioning See's Candy, I mentioned that they did a thing on CBS Sunday Morning one Sunday on See's Candy.
Really?
And that company's been in business forever.
Oh, yeah.
But people don't know what we're talking. Do you know what? Have you ever heard of See's Candy, Tony?
You know, I'd have to see it. I don't know. Would that be in New York? It's not English. It's not
in California.
That was cute, the way you said that. I have to see.
Yeah.
That's not a New York company. My New York friends have me send it.
Let me finish what I'm saying here. Josh, have you ever heard of See's Candy?
No.
How about you, Charlie?
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Really? Where'd you hear of them?
We used to have them in the malls here in Texas.
Oh, really? Okay, so they made it that far. Because outside of I thought they were only on the West Coast. But they had all these little white shops, and it was See's Candy.
You go in there and get a free sample.
Yes, you could. You could.
Yep, they're very popular in California.
Yeah.
Yeah, still can at the mall.
Yep.
Yeah. See, everybody in California knows about them. You know about them, right, Kevin?
Yeah, they got a place right there, a factory in San Bruno.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you see, but
South San Francisco.
Yeah, right on the border there.
Yeah.
But it just be, you know, I mean, for instance, Bezos. I don't care how much he does for philanthropy. I don't care how much he tries to buy his ticket to heaven. Okay, he will always be judged by how he treated the people who work for him.
Yeah.
And they are abysmal.
They don't like him.
Oh, he's terrible. Bezos is terrible. I mean, for a while there, I was thinking about not ordering anything from Amazon. Yeah, because of the way they treat their people. And then I thought to myself, how else am I going to get anything anymore?
I know. I love Amazon, though. I remember when he first opened, I was just ordering books. Like, I never have to go to the bookstore again. He has everything.
Yeah, but didn't you worry about the fact that what that was going to do was kill the comic book store or kill the bookstore?
You know, I did, because I used to like going to the bookstore with my sister in Forest Hills. But you know what? The one thing I liked about it is because we would come home, I says, "Man, they didn't have our books." And then when I went to Amazon, oh look, they got the book on Amazon.
Wait a
But
minute.
after a while,
Just try and find a bookstore these days. All the Barnes
Yeah,
and Nobles are
I know.
closing down. I mean, all the brick and mortar
I
bookstores.
miss sitting down
are
and
gone.
looking for stuff. Yeah.
You know, I mean, I mean, I hate how I am stuck with buying stuff from Amazon. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I try to whenever I can. I do try to buy my electronics at Best Buy locally, because at least there's some people working the stores and they're earning a living, and I'm paying into that. And if I go in and say, "Here's what Amazon's charging for it," they'll meet the price.
Yeah, they'll match
so
up.
I don't
PC
need to go to Amazon to get it cheap, you know. But you know, I mean, that always bothered me. Apple bothers me, genuinely bothers me, because let's face it. I mean, you were talking, Josh, about people not buying stuff, and that would dictate the well-being of people and so on. Nobody ever thinks when they buy their Apple phone now, what's happening to the Uyghurs in China, where this phone has been made. You know, so I mean, and the people, by the way, at the factory at Foxconn who kept jumping out of the windows, committing suicide because they couldn't stand going to work every day.
Imagine jumping out of a window because you can't stay in your job and you quit.
Yeah, yeah.
Making it be.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank God Sirius XM didn't have any open windows. How
big? And you'll be the guys opening the window again. There they go.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, they had people jumping out of the windows at Foxconn. They allowed them to live at Foxconn, and then they had these apartments there they stayed in, or dorms, and people were jumping out the windows, committing suicide. So they had to put up nets.
Really?
They didn't do anything to stop what was causing them to jump out of the windows. They just stopped them from being able to kill themselves jumping out of the windows. So, I mean, we're doing business with the very people that we're complaining about now, and I mean, it's pretty terrible. As I say, I'm getting fed up. Shecky and I were talking the other day, Josh, about the fact that we're both fed up with the world. I think it's just maybe we're just old farts. Okay,
I'm getting like that too, though.
He's older than me, emotionally.
Yeah,
So,
he is more mature than you, Alex. I think you got to. Yeah, he tells me, "Oh, he's on the phone again."
Mature was not the word I was looking for.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, he's a good listener. I could see you I don't get you talk. Yeah.
Shecky and I, if we live long enough, will be like the two guys in the balcony on the Muppet Show.
Yeah, exactly. Remember yelling down? I used to watch that.
I was thinking more like the Odd Couple.
Yeah, but but I mean, he's complaining to me all the time now about stuff, and he says he just can't stand the world he's living in now. It's just and I tend to agree with him. I mean, how much worse can it get?
He runs again in 2 years.
Trump can get reelected.
Huh?
Yeah.
Trump can get reelected.
He won't get reelected. He won't get reelected.
Go to jail.
But I don't think Biden's going to be in any position to run.
No,
I don't think he's going to be in the physical condition to run.
So what the hell is Pelosi think she's doing?
She's running again. Can't she retire? You
want to talk about retiring? Don't you think maybe Dianne Feinstein might be thinking about walking to the door?
Both of them should go.
I mean, I know it's not like in ages, but come on.
Look, I like Pelosi. I think she should stay, but definitely Feinstein. She's getting a little.
Isn't she about 90? Feinstein.
Schumer, Pelosi.
Look, I can be ageist.
They should all go. Just go.
I can be ageist because I'm 82. Okay, I can be ageist. And I got to tell you, I just think that I would like to see more young people in politics. When I look at Congress and I see all these gray hairs, I go, come on, they're the people who are voting on the future. And all they're doing is basing it on templates that have been set in the past.
Yep.
And we need people in there who are thinking more towards modernizing everything. And maybe that's why we should have term limits. So these people can't keep running and running and running until they're like I mean, how old is wait a minute, Echo? How old is Diane? Echo?
I thought she was
How
dead.
old is Diane Feinstein?
Like 82, 83.
Diane Feinstein is 88 years old.
88 years old.
Yeah, I knew she was close to 90.
That's
That's what I thought. I figured she was close to 90.
And I bet she runs for re-election next time. You know, I mean, come on.
Yes.
Huh?
I think yes.
Why don't you ask Alexa if she's going to run again?
No, because she won't answer me on that one.
Oh.
She doesn't have answers. She's not a magic 8-ball.
Oh.
I used to have it.
Huh?
I used to have that, the 8-ball, you shake it up.
Oh, I had a magic 8-ball once. Every time you snorted it, another spoonful would appear.
Oh, mine was from Ideal.
I knew that was coming.
Magic 8-ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Is that a original magic 8-ball? That kind of looks like a phony magic 8-ball.
Get the water in
Like
there.
it, yeah.
Yeah, it's so original. Well, Alex Bennett lived to 83. Not a chance. No, I'm just kidding. It doesn't actually. It's a little whatever the liquid is in there, and it doesn't work.
Well,
it's not an original.
You've got a defective magic 8-ball, and
can you believe that?
and you're holding on to it.
I'm that way, you know. I like old balls.
Yeah.
Ball one at a time, I guess.
Yeah.
And the damn thing doesn't work. Yeah, it is defective.
Yeah.
Rarely, Alex. Anyhow. No.
So somebody sent me a picture that they had posted on the Quake Facebook group of me in the studio at KQAK in San Francisco, and I put it up, and I just said, "Would you believe?" And it's right. This is 39 years ago.
Wow.
And did you see me do the PR work for this show?
Yeah, right. I saw you on there. But do you realize
the guy would say, "Oh, he's the best," and I said, "He's still the best. Join our podcast."
I got
yeah.
So far something like, well, wait a minute, I can tell you. Hold on a moment. I will go here and I will revamp it here for a second and see how many people. I put up this picture, just a simple picture of me from then at a microphone. And it says,
162.
I said, 162 people have commented on it. So
12 shares.
Yeah. So 39 years ago, the quake, and
wow.
That's a bad day for that makeup girl.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
That's like a makeup girl gets that like in the first hour.
Oh, you mean one of the? Yeah, of course. No.
The girls doing makeup, they do that in the first hour.
Yeah.
You have 460 people that have given a thumbs up, whether they love it or the blue or the red thumbs up.
Oh, really? Yes, you're right. 463.
460. Wow.
I mean, I just put that up a couple of hours ago.
God, you must be somebody still on that thing.
There were some very nice people saying stuff there.
There's a lot of comments. Wow.
Yeah. And by the way, just in case you haven't checked, we have a lot of people who watch the pop-up show. Anyway.
These people just go on and watch the show. They think they're surprised you're alive still.
Yeah, that's amazing. You know, it's nice to know that people are amazed I'm still alive. You know, I don't understand that. You know, why they don't check in occasionally if they really cared about me to see if I was doing something. Actually, I prefer they not listen to this because this would probably disappoint them, wouldn't it, Brian? You used to listen to that.
One person said, "Yeah, but then because I said join the podcast." I said, "Yeah, but then before he had a studio audience."
Yeah.
Where are we?
I'll bring a studio audience in here so that we can.
There's one guy, Matt Morons, talks about Bobby Slayton rules. Seen him many times. Alex matched him up or something. I don't get this guy. Whatever. Matched up with him. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Matt Morgan. Oh, not Moron.
Matt
Sorry,
Morgan.
Matt, if you're listening.
I don't understand. But anyway, you know, it's like I say, I used to be a big shot. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would people, Brian, would people who listen to me then be disappointed by this?
No.
Really not. Okay.
No, because everybody's getting old, so everyone's cheap. So it's not. It's just a different, different version of everything now.
If I went back to San Francisco tomorrow and did that show,
Oh yeah.
they would expect me to do the same show I did back then, and you couldn't do that show today.
No, I mean, look at the comedians. I mean, geez, you show some of those pictures with you and Robin Williams and Seinfeld and all those guys when they're young. It's like, wow, it's like.
Well, also the other thing is that I had a live studio audience. We couldn't have a live studio audience today.
Right.
Because no studio would be A, large enough for that, or B, even if they were, would allow people to come in like that. You know? So
everybody's putting their favorite Quake picture up there. I remember the Quake. I didn't know it was.
You didn't know I was on it?
No, I did know you were on it, but I didn't know that it was still going on. Hasn't it changed names?
No, it has been around for years.
Right. Okay.
It died real early. It only lasted a couple of years.
Is Live 105 still around?
Yep. No, they did away with the name. It's now got. They gave it some. What was the name? Kevin?
Dave's. Yeah, Dave's.
Dave.
That's the name of the station. Dave.
Yeah, Dave.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
The same numbers, 105.3.
Yeah.
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 Dave.
Yeah.
That's
And
crazy.
everybody was here's what happened. When suddenly they announced that Live 105 was going to quit being Live 105 and it's going to become Dave and whatever, everybody was bemoaning it, saying, "Oh boy, an iconic radio station," which is amazing because when I first went on it, it was not iconic. But an iconic San Francisco radio institution is leaving the airwaves, and I have to point out to them that whole format, that whole station was gone years ago. It just maintained the same name.
But the Quake was cute for the name since there's a lot of earthquakes around here.
You know, like I was looking at the ratings today for San Francisco, and the number one station in San Francisco is Coit. Right?
No. Really?
Yeah. KOIT.
They play oldies, don't they?
Well, yeah, but no, they're an AC
Right.
station. So what's called an AC station. But in the old days, they played beautiful music.
Right.
And it was called Coit. So you're going to go,
They have the picture of Coit Tower in the background.
Well, of course, that's where the name comes from.
I figured that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Remember Brian Copeland?
Yes.
Yeah, so he made a comment on here. But his son, I used to see him when they used to do the farmhouse. They used to do comedy at the farmhouse in Redwood City.
Yeah.
And Brian Copeland used to do that. But his son they do the opening for a KMBR in the mornings, like the first couple hours in the sports thing. He's really big too. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
oh, okay.
Yeah, his son's doing really good.
Good for him.
KMBR has always been a sports station, right?
Yeah.
In the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Not always. Not always.
Right.
Oh, really?
Only in about the past 25 years, maybe, but prior to that, it was not. In fact, KNBR, you know why it's KNBR? It was KNBC. And down in L.A., the NBC station, I can't remember what the name of it was, but NBC suddenly decided they wanted to call the station down in L.A. that they own KNBC, so they changed this one to KNBR. Okay. So, yeah. Little history. Whatever.
Thank God we got that cleared up.
Yeah. So anyway, so what else is new? What else is new? Anything new today?
Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff. What's new with you?
Not much.
I was starting with a J. I was going to say Josh, but go ahead, Jeff.
That's all right. I remember my name. Not too much. You know, it was a nice, beautiful day, and we just sat
get
around and
used to it because tomorrow's supposed to be hell.
That's right.
That's what they say.
70 degrees here.
Right now it's 30 degrees and snowing. How's it doing down where you?
Florida?
How's it doing where you are, Josh?
What's that?
How's the weather where you are?
Well, it's about 30 degrees colder than 30.
It's 0?
It's pretty close, yeah. It's going to be in another 2 or 3 hours all night.
0?
It was down to, I think it was 1 or -1 this morning, I'm pretty sure.
God, Brian, we're lucky here.
When I was living,
when it's 40 degrees in the Bay Area, everybody's bundled up.
when I was living in Houston, I knew this guy who knew a guy who had built a sculpture that was out in his lawn, and it was a monkey, and on the bottom of this monkey were these big brass nuts. Okay, and he electronically created it. So when the temperature went below 32 degrees, the testicles detached themselves and fell into a brass pot. And when you knew it was cold, when all of a sudden you would hear clunk, and he would say, cold enough to, freeze the testicles off of a brass monkey.
That's funny.
And I thought, what a great idea. Let's market those around the country. Just you put them on your front lawn in snow country, and when you hear clunk, you know how cold it is. But then you got to go back the next day and reattach the testicles. So, but you could do that. What's happening in your part of town there, John Larkin? Have you been out to the wonderful Tenderloin?
I'm quarantining, and everything's just hunky-dory.
Oh, how many more days do you have of quarantine?
I think Friday or Saturday. Saturday, I mean Sunday.
Now
You're getting paid for this, right, John?
No shit, no.
San Francisco is initiating a new law. If you've had all 3 shots, you will no longer be required to wear a mask anywhere.
Yep.
Yeah,
right?
Yep, that's right.
It's unfortunate.
And Fauci got really mad at that, saying that doesn't mean you're not going to get it.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just think that we're so desirous to get back to normal that we're trying to force ourselves back to normal, and when we do that artificially, we're going to create conditions that are going to force us right back into having to close everything down. If we would just take care of business for about a month, all of us in this country, we get out of this. But we're not getting out of it. So,
the politicians are not going to let us close down. Never going to let us close down again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's better off that people die, right?
Hey, we lost almost 4,000 a day.
Today?
Yeah.
Again?
3,888.
So what are we up to? What's the account and the amount, as they used to say on those quiz shows?
Dr. Death.
Charlie, what's your
882,000.
Dr. Doom, sorry.
800.
Something like that. I gotta
Charlie,
get that.
Charlie, what's your shirt say tonight? That's a new one, right?
Yeah, it's a new one.
What?
This says one tectonic plate bumped into another and said, "Sorry, my fault."
Oh, boy.
If I wear my sarcasm shirt, nobody cares about it.
No, we don't, actually.
882,213.
So when do you think we'll hit what, 900,000?
900,000 will probably hit by Valentine's Day.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think we're going to hit 1 million?
Oh, heck yeah.
Oh, yeah. People are going to have to get COVID shots probably for the rest of their lives. I
don't know if that's the case.
Well, we're still getting vaccinated for the Spanish flu, H1N1.
Yeah.
Every year. It's in the mix every year.
Is H1N1 the Spanish flu?
It certainly is.
But they're not making COVID mandatory for kids at school, so I don't see it happening.
I think at some point.
Well, how do you feel about your kid going to school, maybe not having to wear a mask or whatever?
Mine?
I think they still will. Simon has that thing sewed onto him whenever we leave.
Mine too.
Good for him. Good for them.
My kid won't go to school without a mask. I mean, we had over 700 kids out. Every day I get a notice. I got two today. Every day I get a notice that someone's been exposed.
Wow.
700 kids out, 37 teachers out.
Yeah.
Wow.
Simon's mad because they're getting an excuse from homework when they're out for COVID. And he hasn't missed a day. And he says it's not fair because he has to do all the homework.
Same here.
Wow. Well, you know, I mean, I don't. I got. By the way, I just noticed Marjorie got them in today. We got a whole crap load of what 95s. You know, which
now you can practice yourself putting them on.
Yeah, right.
You putting that with all the toilet paper you have?
I thought there was good.
I don't have a lot of toilet paper.
You used to say that closet was full of toilet paper.
Yeah, but you know something? I got to tell you, I don't care how much toilet paper you buy in your lifetime. You could go out and buy, I don't know, go to Costco and get the big rolls and get like 50 of those. And one day you're going to yell out of the toilet, "Hey, we ran out of toilet paper."
I used to haul truckloads of the stuff, and I always got extras and brought home cases of the stuff. I had my garage full of it, and I ran out.
And you know, that's pretty steady.
A single guy, I think, could use one of those for a while.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
It's the women.
The women.
It's like the jackpot thing.
I said to Marjorie, "What do you do with stuff? Eat it?" You know.
And then they don't refill the stupid thing, man. Oh my god.
Or they put it in the wrong direction.
Oh yeah, gotta have it in front.
Yeah, that's the worst.
You like it in front? See, I like it to hang from the back. And I've actually.
You ever hear about the guy? You ever hear about the guy that walks into a pharmacy and he says, "I want 5 tubes of Preparation H," and the guy says, "Okay," and he gives him 5 tubes. The guy leaves. Comes back about 2 hours later, and he says, "Give me another 5 tubes of Preparation H." And he leaves. And another couple hours later, he comes back. He says, "Give me 10 tubes of Preparation H." And a couple hours later, he comes back again. And finally, the pharmacist gives it to him and says, "What are you doing with this stuff? Eating it?" He says, "No, I'm shoving it up my ass." That's one of my favorite jokes. And the funny part about it is you can screw that joke up so easily because you got to say it sarcastically. "No, I'm shoving it up my ass." You know. But no, I mean, toilet paper is something you will never, ever not run out of. Okay? So you could buy a ton of it and you'll still have it. We only buy a whole bunch of it at Kirkland at Costco now. And when we need
Before we leave, are we going to see a 49er Bengals Super Bowl?
We hope so. That's all I'm saying. I ain't saying no more.
Bengals are going to lose again, right?
It'll be the 40th year anniversary of the first one.
That means 49ers would play in LA two
times, yeah.
2 times.
And from the only guy in America who really doesn't give a crap.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, it's been fun. It's been a good hour and a half. Starting off with you, Kevin, you're always wonderful. Jeff, great having you here. The lovely and attractive Alan is just fine and wonderful. Charlie Wallace, love you, love your T-shirts. Brian, she didn't come in tonight.
Oh, she's busy.
She's not in show business tonight. Josh, thank you so much, Josh. Always love having you here. And of course, John Larkin and Tony Magno. Everybody give a big wave goodbye, and I'll give a big wave goodbye at you, okay? There they go, ladies and gentlemen. That's our citizens panel. They are gone. They are toast. They are out of here. Let me just get rid of them here so that we don't have them still hanging around, because they can go over now to Jack Bishop's show, which is The Intersection, which is next over most of this Gabnet. We'll be back again on Monday for the pop-up show. That'll be on at 4:30 Eastern Time on Facebook. Okay, not on YouTube, but on Facebook. And then we'll be back again here on Facebook and also just on our live audio stream Wednesday night, 10:30, same time, same station in life. And in the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her. And more than that, please, get vaccinated. Get the booster. And if not, wear a mask. Be a good citizen. Anyway, we'll see you all again next time. Bye-bye, everybody.